Welcome to another episode of Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting, relic, and treasure hunting. You can also call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have. Relics Radio is also now syndicated on the Cutting Edge Radio Network and is broadcast around the world. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And it is Thursday night again, and you're listening to a live episode of Relics Radio. Well, you're listening live if you're on the Spreaker app right now, or if you are on the Cutting Edge Radio Network, our syndicated network there. We want to welcome all of you guys, and we know that not everybody can hear the show live. Maybe you don't have time, maybe you're working a job. But you can catch it on the archives on Spreaker. You can also catch it on iHeartRadio. You can catch it on iTunes and Apple Podcast and Spotify as well. Got a great lineup tonight. In fact, got a real lineup tonight. Don't know that I've ever had this many guests at one time. But I have the Nox Brothers, Scott Hanson, Ron DesRoachers, I should have said it quicker, Ron, and Bill Henry and Michael Reese. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Roy, or Loy.
Got me back for the DesRoachers. Okay.
I was thinking Ron.
Good to be here.
It's good to have you guys. Been looking forward to this show, and it's been in the works now for over a month, and looking forward to you guys. And, it's kind of going to be a little bit difficult to negotiate ourselves. We're running in 15-minute segments, as you know. And so what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to grab two of you for the first segment and then the other two remaining in the second segment. And then we'll just see where it goes from there. But I'm going to start out tonight with Scott. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey, there's something that I want to say to you, and I forget it every time that you and I have talked together. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for nominating me in the Gary Pinta Christmas giveaway thing, where the little miniature detector that he sent out. And you nominated me for that, and I was floored whenever I won that. But thank you so much for your thoughtfulness on that.
Oh, I appreciate that. And for what you do to this community, and you're just such a busy guy. And I try and do my best as running a Facebook group and trying a YouTube channel, which I struggle with, and things. It's a big handful, and I know that you've got both your hands full with everything you do for this community, and that's why you got my nomination. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. There are so many people that I feel would be greater, more qualified for that award than I was, but I was humbled by it, but great appreciation for you recognizing that. I do this because I love it. I don't make a penny of money on this. In fact, I go in the hole every week, and I keep telling my wife, this is going to be something for the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren to listen to, and keep my memory alive, and it's worth it to me what it costs. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. And the people that we get to meet and the people that we get to be around and everything. Hey, Scott, what got you into your interest in everything in metal detecting and treasure hunting and all of this mess that we've got ourselves into?
Oh, yeah. I started when I was just a little kid, I had I think everybody can relate to the old Radio Shack, that orange handle, funky little metal detector that we all probably tried out when we were little kids. That got me started. I found a few pennies. There's no depth to that machine or anything. But then as I got older, and probably within the last 5 to 7 years, I got interested in YouTube and listening to all the channels that are out there. I think I started with Aqua Chigger and Nugget Noggin, and through listening to them and seeing the people that they metal detected with and treasure hunted with, I got to find other channels, and then of course Facebook, and it just got me really interested in it. And I wanted a metal detector about 5 years ago now. I think I've been detecting for Christmas one year. My wife got me one, and it's all history from there now, about 5 detectors later.
And, I make a joke. We have more detectors probably than we need. But if you asked us, they're just tools in a toolbox, because one will do what the other was not really designed to do. It may do it, but it doesn't do the job that you want it to do. But I have a few detectors laying around, and I tell everybody from time to time, my biggest fear is that whenever I die, that my wife is going to sell all of my metal detecting stuff for what I told her I paid for it.
Oh no! I'm going to say, you know what? I just bury my metal detectors with me. I don't even want that to happen.
Oh, you don't want that. It'd be going off all the time with all the jewelry and everything and all the metal down there with you and everything like that. But I think that there's a little bit of the treasure mine, and I used to say this about every boy, but I think that that there are several females that have the same kind of draw toward finding something that you would call treasure, running your hands down in the ground, hearing a signal, cutting out a hole, and it's always that anticipation of what's going to be in there. That's just a draw that just never ever gets old, does it?
Yeah, no, it never does. And you like you say, you never know what it's going to be. I mean, we can get an idea with the new technology that's out there, what kind of VLF numbers we're getting and such. I'm going to dig a quarter. Well, I'll tell you what, the AT Pro is my now backup machine. When I first met Michael, in fact, it was the very first day we detected, and I thought after that day he would never invite me out again. Is when I found the Georgia officer's belt plate from 1870. I thought I was going to be digging a clad quarter.
Oh, really?
I dug it up, and yeah, I did. I really did. And about 3-4 inches down, it popped this rectangular piece of brass, and I flipped it over, and I said, "Oh my gosh!" So Michael can relate to that day, of course, I'm sure.
Yeah, when we get to Michael here in a minute, I'm going to ask him about that and what his thought. But I would say that he is like you or myself. Whoever you're hunting with, you want them to do well, and you're as happy for them if they find something great as you would be yourself. That's Absolutely. What I've found most of the time in the hobby. Now, every once in a while, you got somebody that has a lot of jealousy, and they get upset if you find something. But I think by and large, this community is, they really enjoy somebody else having success as well.
Oh yeah, I love seeing everything that people find. In the chat here, I'm looking here tonight. Greg, Finding America, he finds some incredible stuff, and I really like watching his videos every week. And it's a friendly reminder to when I watch his video. I know you guys are coming on later that night, so then I tune into you guys as well. But there's some incredible stuff out there that people find, and I'm just happy to be a part of this network.
Yeah. I am too, and to be a part of this community here, I'm ashamed to say that I've got so many things going on now that I really don't get to do what I used to do that I love so much, and that was just go out and hunt. I'd take a few pictures and everything. I'd come in, and me and Nugget Noggin and some of the others were just on a forum back then. None of us were on YouTube. And, there wasn't any rush or anything, and there wasn't any production or anything to anything. You just went out there and hunted. You found some stuff. You'd take a picture and you'd throw it up, on the internet there on the on the forum, and everybody could see what you had, and it was a lot of fun. It really was. I need to run over and pick up on Ron here. Welcome to the show tonight, Ron.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you having us on.
You and me are the old guys in the room tonight. Now, what do you think about that?
Well, probably you might be younger than what you think.
I don't know about that. Everybody says that I'm 151, I guess, now, because I had a birthday back in December. But
well, then you're definitely older than me.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quite that old. You know how hyperbole is. But you started out a long time ago in the hobby, didn't you?
Yes, unfortunately, it was a long time ago. Matter of fact, it was just about mid-'60s.
Yep.
And there's a guy that I worked with. I worked with Delta, and we were looking through this magazine, and it happened to have an article about this island. And you can probably guess where I'm going with that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was the Oak Island treasure thing, and we really got interested, and then saw I think it was Popular Mechanics had a schematic of how you could build a metal detector.
Yeah.
And it was really high class, because you cut out a piece of micarta about an 8-inch diameter, and then you cut out some wedges all the way around and wrapped some copper wire around there about 30 times, and put some capacitors and resistors on there. Not too many, one or two.
Yeah.
And you had a real fancy handle that was like, a broomstick cut off.
Not to interfere.
Mounted to that.
Yeah, it had to be wood, because it would interfere with everything. Yes. Yeah.
And then you taped a transistor radio to the top of that handle, and you just went about your business looking for something. You had to tune the radio to the parts that were on the little disc.
Yeah,
and the only thing
to the white noise is what you did. You didn't want it on a station. You wanted it on the buzz in the white noise. And then what that homemade coil that you had did was it would change the frequency of that white noise, and you could hear it. Now, you really didn't get a ding, 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 you got a change of frequency is all that you had. See, people don't know what all we went through back in the day, but and then you were really wealthy if you could order one of those Heath kits and put that thing together. Now, that was a step up, wasn't it?
I never had the Heath kit.
I didn't either. I got a hold of one later that somebody had put together, but I didn't. My family didn't have the money that we could get that, and then me put that together, and have it. But oh man, you'd open up those magazines, and they always had the X-ray. They always had the X-ray glasses over there, And I always wanted some of them. And my mother told me, said, "You ain't getting no X-ray glasses."
I remember those ads.
Yeah. But
Radio Shack had a kit too.
Yeah, they did.
That you could build, and that was my next step up. I don't remember a whole lot about it. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. It's been a long time. And, back in that time, you were mentioning Radio Shack. You could go into Radio Shack and you could buy transistors and and resistors and diodes and all of the, and nobody knows, today what you're talking about. But you could build you could build amplifiers. You could build just about anything that you wanted to. All you had to do was get a schematic, and then you could go to Radio Shack. If you needed a 1K or a 2K resistor, there they were, packaged up on the wall. Didn't cost you that much, and you could build just about anything that you wanted, and have the good feeling about yourself. I built that. I made that. Out of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the biggest thing I ever found, or about the only thing I ever found with that little kit, was like a Hot Wheels car, because it really didn't pick up a lot of coins.
No, unless they were just laying right on top of the ground. And you could make yourself every once in a while, you could see one laying on the ground, and you'd act like you didn't see it and swing your detector over it because you knew it'd pick that one up,
Oh, yeah.
But I'm giving too much away.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we need to run to a commercial break, and we'll be right back with the Nox Brothers. I'm excited to announce that Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors has rejoined Relics Radio as a sponsor. As a multi-line dealer, Tim carries several brands of detectors and accessories, and he's ready to serve all of your metal detecting needs. I'll give you his contact info in a minute. So why did Relics Radio go back to Tim Henderson as our dealer sponsor? 3 very important reasons. First, I often hunt with Tim, so I know firsthand that he uses what he sells, and he prides himself with great customer service and support. Second, Tim goes the extra mile in helping the new detectorist determine exactly what they need to get started. He will not try and sell you some high-priced product if that's not what you need. And at the same time, Tim can serve the seasoned detectorist with their upgrades or new product questions. And finally, Tim won't leave you hanging after the sale. He's just a phone call away for any questions or specialized training needs. So, you can call Tim directly at 615-948-4611, or you can email him at tjhenderson@comcast.net. And Tim is a great guy, and glad that he's back on Relics Radio with us. He's in the chat there tonight. And by the way, guys, rather than going to murraybranchoutdoors.com, which is just a static website, why don't you give him a call? Why don't you email him at tjhenderson@comcast.net? And just pick up the phone and call him. This guy loves to talk. He loves to talk metal detecting, and he'll get right with you and tell you what you need and get you the best deal that you can get on that. I guarantee you that. But we got to get back to the Nox Brothers here. Bill Henry, what's going on tonight?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. How'd you get into all this mess?
Actually, interest was struck in me a long time ago. Back in the late 80s, I was working for a very popular, well-known termite pest control company and was doing a termite reinspection at a home. And this guy had these really old metal detectors hanging up on the wall of his garage, and kind of asked him a few questions about it. Well, showed me a huge jar of some of the beach finds. And that was something that really struck my interest, but really didn't do anything until I moved up here to Georgia in 2005, and I've had a great interest in the Civil War. And living here in the area where it actually happened, it's a great opportunity to find, a piece of history. I love history.
Now, those metal detectors that you saw whenever you were doing a follow-up inspection on that house, did you purchase one or all of those, or did it just spark your interest?
No, it got my interest. But, I just wasn't ready to be one of those guys down there early in the morning or late at night with the headphones on and a shovel going down the beach. That was for the retired guys. And here I am. I'm one of those retired guys now, except I don't have the beach,
Yeah. Well, that was that's kind of the way people looked at metal detecting for so long. But then we got all these young people in now that are just absolutely burning it up, and maybe we've got kind of a different persona than what we had before. But you're right. I mean, I've had my daughters say, "Oh, that's just for old men that are retired on the beach," and that's the way we've been portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, living in an area and being able to walk on ground that that the Civil War was fought on, and then you're able to take a machine in your hand, swing that coil, listen for a tone, dig that tone out, and hold a piece of history that is over 150 years old. Does it get any better than that?
Mm-hmm. No, that's exciting. That's real exciting. And just recently, since I hooked up with Scott and Michael and Ron a few months back now, can't remember exactly how long it's been though and everything though, but I've learned a lot hanging around those guys. Had some great opportunities through invites to go to some of these Civil War places and old history of Georgia, and found some really cool relics so far. Not a lot, but some of them, that are on people's bucket list. I found a stirrup not too long ago, hunting with another friend, Matt, up in the Winder area.
Yeah.
And with Scott and Michael, I've got my first Civil War bullet, button, a few of the couple of nice coins, but yeah, pulling that out of the ground is amazing. It's a thrill that I don't think it gets old.
No, it doesn't. And, that's only the beginning of it, too, because if you're like me, when you pull something out, you want to know the history about it then. And most of us probably didn't like history as a subject in school. But now then that we've got now that we've got our hands in the ground and we're pulling this stuff up,
yep.
I want to know what it went on. I want to know the history behind it. I want to know as much as possible who dropped it, why they owned it. And that's just it's as much fun to me doing the research on something that I found almost as finding the item itself. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's finding something and wanting to know the story behind it, how it got there, who was wearing it. When I found the horse stirrup, there was a couple other items, and it was kind of like, all right, that this bullet that was found not too long ago tied in with the horse stirrup. Was the guy riding the horse, got shot, fell off. The horse stirrup's been in the ground along with the bullet.
Yep. Yeah. And you just never know. Sure don't. But we're more than halfway on this segment, maybe. Hey, Michael Reese, what's going on tonight? Good to have you on the show as well.
Howdy.
Hey, I understand that you are the brains behind this operation as far as, are the editor as far as putting out the YouTube stuff. Is that correct?
Well, I know Scott, he wanted to have he's got the Nox Brothers channel. I started my own channel back earlier last year, probably right around the beginning of summer, and but I've been anytime we get together, I film those hunts, and I kind of try to represent us and as much as we can get together, and it's always more fun when I have the guys there and I'm able to capture all those memories and stuff. So
it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is, and it's a whole lot more fun whenever you can do it with someone else. I've hunted quite a bit by myself, and still do from time to time. I don't like it, but sometimes you have to do it. But I would rather hunt with somebody else, and you just get so much so much more benefit out of doing that, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons why I do that, when I first started detecting, I had an old friend of mine. He was a older gentleman, and he didn't have a metal detector, but he would come with me and watch everything that I would find, and he was so knowledgeable, and he would tell me, this was this and this is that, and I just loved listening to him. Well, he eventually got himself a metal detector, so we started doing it together, and he said metal detecting saved his life. He was so grateful, because he was retired and he was single and didn't really have much to do, and it just kind of brought his spirit back. And I just miss those days, having him. And now I've got Scott and the guys, but anytime I'm by myself, I love filming because it's kind of like having people there with me. I have the camera to speak to, but I know people are going to watch it, and it's just kind of comforting knowing that, it's kind of like having, friends there at the same time. So
it's kind of hard to explain, but it is. It's like you've got an audience already, and there's not anything there but whether you're using your phone or you're using a GoPro or something other. My wife, we were at the lake back in the summer, and I was doing a little bit of shoreline hunting, and I had my phone out, and I was talking, and she was just up on the pontoon boat there, and reading a book or something other. And whenever I got finished that day and got back on the boat, she said, "Do you talk to yourself all the time?" I said, "I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to those millions of people that are watching me out there, And she really got a kick out of that. But it really, it's another element to the hunting, to document it and film it, isn't it?
It really is. Really, it's just brought the extra level of, bringing something extra into the hobby. I mean, it's fun. It's challenging. I'm not going to say it's not. I'm new at it, but watching back through my old videos up to now, I've kind of progressed a lot, but I'm not really where I want to be, but it's still, I'm just trying to, it's not work. It's really just something to enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm not out there to make a bunch of money. I'm just, documenting some great days.
That's right. That's right. Just out there having fun, and you're keeping a record of that. And I think all of us, you guys do me a favor. Don't go back and watch episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't watch those early episodes of Digging with Seven, because they were terrible. We get better as we do it, and as we watch other people, and we borrow stuff from other channels and other people that are filming their experience. But I'll tell you something else not to get into. Don't get all caught up in the numbers, the number of subscribers that you have, or the number of views that you have. Keep it fun. Just keep doing what you do, and let it go where it will. You understand what I'm talking about, Michael?
Absolutely. I try not to pay attention to that. I'll tell you one thing. I got this guy that his name is Steve. He subscribes to me, and I kind of got to talking to him a little bit just through YouTube, and he pretty much told me that he's always loved the idea of metal detecting and treasure hunting and everything, but medically he can't really get out. So he kind of told me he likes to live vicariously through my videos, and every single video he comments and just thanks me for bringing him along on the adventure. And even if I had no one else and I just had him, I would still do it because, I'm bringing some value to him, and it just feels great. So.
And it's real easy to get obligated too, right. Because you feel a connection to this person because you've done something, you've brought them along on you guys' hunts, and you're allowing this person to do something that they physically are incapable of doing, but they love to do it. And so that pushes you too, that, if I don't feel good today, I'm a little bit tired, I'm really not all that interested this week in trying to do anything. But you got people that are expecting you to, and so that's a reward that you just can't get anywhere else.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the way it was when we started Relics Radio. I didn't know if we'd get anybody to listen. And we've got such a community of support for this show. We've had the opportunity to meet so many great people as guests and to hear their story. And I've got I've got a lady that's probably coming up sometime in March, and I reached out to her, and she is a phenomenal person, but she doesn't think that she is. And so I said, I would love to have you on as a guest. And she said, I don't think I have the expertise that you're looking for. I said, I'm not looking for expertise. I'm looking for your story. Your story is unique. It is different than anybody else's. And, everybody's got a story to tell and a different way to tell it, don't they? And we do that through our video. We do that through podcast and every other thing that we do.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm basically trying to, I don't really know what my style is. It changes just about every video. Anytime I'm out hunting, just like this last one I did out on the farm, I just, just turned the camera on and started going, and all kinds of crazy things started happening. I had cows chasing me around and boxing me in fences, and found a
good video.
And those, those turn out to be the best videos that you do, is stuff like that, and the best memories that you have as well whenever those things happen. Hey guys, we got another commercial break, and we'll be right back. T-shirts are a perfect way to get your brand recognized, whether you're talking about a business, a club, a sports team, your YouTube channel, or whatever. But you may have asked, where can I get quality, affordable shirts on demand? Well, I'm glad you asked. Relics Radio uses detectors.com for all of our T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and hoodies. That's DETECTEES.com. Ken and Mark Guthrie make quality shirts that last, they ship quick, and best of all, they're affordable. So if you need customized apparel, then go to detectors.com and be sure and tell them that Relics Radio sent you. And talking about great people, Ken and Mark Guthrie are top-notch people. They make a top-notch product. And go check them out, detectors.com. I remember when we first started the show, we hadn't been going very long, and Ken reached out to me and said, do you want to sponsor? We'd like to sponsor you guys. And it just floored me, and we've had a lasting relationship that has lasted since then, and I hope lasts a lot longer. Hey, Michael, I want to continue with you, and we'll just kind of work back up the list. This is a little bit different show, having 4 guests and trying to negotiate all that, but I think we've done a fair job so far. But I want to talk to you about how you do research and what type of hunting that you really enjoy doing.
Oh, I have a variety of things that I like to search for. I mean, I'm a big coin guy, so I like hunting old houses and old parks, and I like Civil War too. I just haven't had a whole lot of luck getting onto some sites. It's so developed down here around where we're at. I got to drive out a bit to get to some places, but as far as research, probably the same as a lot of folks with some of the sites that they use. I'll kind of, if I notice an area, I'll kind of just start searching on historic aerials and kind of overlay the maps and look around to see if I can see, how the terrain's changed and what buildings used to be there and things like that. And, I've found some really great places using that, places that's pretty much just grass or dirt now, right. That, would have a parking lot next to it. And I'd just look at historic aerials and boom, there was, 20 houses right there. And they turned out to be like extremely productive sites. I'm kind of changing up the way I've been getting permissions. I've got a site that I use, and it's hard for me to quote right now because it's kind of long, but I look through tax records and stuff and figure out, it tells me what area, it has parcels, and I can look up who actually owns the property, then I can reach out to them. So I've got a lot of different tools I've started using over the last year.
Yeah. I don't know about where you guys, and you guys are all in Georgia, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know about Georgia, but I do know in Kentucky, there is an app that I use here called Acre View, and I've got it on my phone. It's just a iPhone app, and I can, whenever you pull that up, you can go to your location right now, and then you can kind of spread that out. It'll go to my county, and I can spread that out, and I can look at, as you said, at different parcels of land. It's got boxes and everything that are drawn there, and in doing that, I can find out who owns that land. And then, if I don't already know, of course, I live in a small town, small community, and I know most everybody here, but you've got to know who owns the land before you can go and ask them for permission. Now, how do you go about? That's something that that a lot of people are intimidated about. How do you ask somebody to go and detect on their land?
I mean, it's not really that hard. You just have to be honest, and you have to just tell them, that this is your hobby, and that you enjoy finding old coins and stuff like that, and that you're very you're very respectful of property, and that this is just for fun. And most of the time, they're going to say yes. The only time I think I've been told no is if somebody, say, in their family already metal detects the land, or or they know, or if they actually themselves are planning on doing it in the future. Sometimes they'll say no, but I haven't had much bad luck with that. I've been having luck on Facebook recently. Like when I'll look up a parcel, for an example, I had a place about an hour away. I started researching and looked at the parcel, found out the guy actually lives down in Florida. Well, I just went off a whim and just contacted him on Facebook and just explained myself, what I was wanting to do, and he was fine with it. He gave me a time range of when I could hunt, as far as, I think he gave me a month, and I told him I would respect that, and I would let him know, what I found. And I think he was a preacher down in like St. Augustine, and he was very nice. So I just respected it. And Scott and I and Ron went down there and hunted a little bit. So
I hadn't thought about that. A lot of times it's hard if you don't do it in person. It's hard for people to know who you are and what you look like. But if you've got a Facebook profile, they've got all your information. So it's almost like being there in person. But yeah, that's good. That's good. Hey, Bill, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, great. How have
enjoying the show?
Enjoying it. Well, we're going to get you involved here again. How do you go about your research?
To be honest with you, I don't even know how to even begin. I've tried to kind of look at property records or anything here on the internet, but I haven't gotten the know-how or the tools as far as like what Michael was saying with the overlays and stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't even begin to know where to look. I'm actually jotting this down while I was listening to you guys, and I also jotted down the acre view. I'm very new to this, and I've been in the area almost 15 years now, but it's still very new to me. And I'm in more of the populated part of Covington, Georgia. We do have some history here, but it's like Michael was saying, it's so developed, and being able to know how to find out who the property people are, I haven't a clue.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the benefits of being in a group like the Nox Brothers. I mean, you got somebody that is experienced in doing research. You got somebody that's experienced in doing the filming or something like that, and you use that expertise that one of your club members or your group members has. And then you can do something else, What type of hunting do you really like to do best? What kind of items are you really after whenever you go out?
I would have to say Civil War.
Yeah.
I've always had a big interest in the Civil War. but finding an old coin for the first time, that almost kind of changes the direction on this. I think just because of the history that goes behind both, it's cool to find a coin that is so old, and you wonder, how did it get 6 inches underneath that plug you just pulled out?
Right. And you always want to know, who dropped it? What were they doing? Where were they going?
Exactly.
How did they make this money? And what were their plans for this money? I remember one time that my mother sent me to the store, and we didn't have a lot of money, and my dad, it was right before he passed away, and he wasn't able to work, and we were down to just about our last $20. And she sent me to the store. Of course, I was driving at the time, and and entrusted me with that money. And I got to the store and started to go in, and I have no clue where that money was at, where it went or anything. Somewhere along the way, I lost that. And it was the most intimidating, embarrassing thing that I've ever had to do in my life. It just absolutely broke my heart for me to go back and tell my mother, I lost our last $20. And there have been times whenever I've hunted old sites and you pulled an old real or something like that up, and that was a lot of money to those people. And you just wonder if there is a duplicate story like that they didn't have much money, and what little that they had, somebody was out farming in the field or running the cow down or something and lost it. But all of that goes through your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah. Did the person that dropped that real, they get a whooping that evening, or?
Well,
what amazes me too is you're out in a field, out in the middle of, there's not much around you, and you wonder, how did that coin get all the way out here?
I know it, and I think we've all done that before. I hunt a lot of farm fields because I'm hunting for the old, what we call colonial or first settlers' houses here. And we got a few of them, but there's no maps that you can go by. And you just have to kind of look at the lay of the land, look for good springs, a high part of the ground or something other. And I hit a little knoll one morning just on a whim. I was working the site not far from there, but it's probably a quarter of a mile. And I seen this little knoll, and I thought, there might have been something there. Very first signal I got was a half real there, and I thought, man, I've hit another good spot right here. I didn't find anything else, and I hunted probably in a circle out to 100 yards and never found anything else. And you just wonder if they were traveling or going to a field or coming from a field, and they just stopped to rest, and that fell out of their pocket. There are just so many questions in there.
Yeah, and I think probably back in the day, too, didn't guys still carry coins and stuff like that in small purses or whatever it is? Or, correct me if I'm wrong, did they have pockets back then to fall out of a pocket?
Not too many of them didn't. They would sew them inside their jacket. If they had a pocket, they might sew it in there. And, there was just so many ways that something could be. I mean, look at all the flat buttons that they lost. That they're going to lose some silver, especially cut silver, because even if they had a purse, it could cut through with those sharp edges. I mean, there's just you come away with these relics and coins and things that we find with way more questions than you have answers. But that's part of the hobby. That's part of what makes it fun, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what makes it interesting.
Let me ask you, we're a couple of minutes away from another commercial break here, but what's the best thing that you've ever pulled out of the ground, in your estimation? Your favorite find, in other words.
Probably the horse stirrup.
Okay.
The Civil War era horse stirrup. I think that's probably my favorite so far, for bragging. And just I haven't found a whole lot. Like I said, this is, haven't been doing this for a really long time. I've found some really cool coins and everything, but I think the one I really enjoyed the most was pulling out that stirrup. And I think part of that is because of wanting to know how it got there.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it just brings up so many questions. Sure does. I tell you what, we need to take this commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to go back to Ron. See you in just a minute. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And all of you know by now that I am the producer of American Digger Magazine's Relic Roundup every Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern with Butch Holcomb and Jeff Lubert. I won't be there this coming Monday night. That is me and my wife, Raina. That's our anniversary, and we're headed out to the mountains. And so I told Butch and Jeff, I said, you guys are going to have to hold down the fort because I won't be there. But anyway, check them out this Monday night. I'm not sure who they have as a guest. It's probably going to be one of the writers for the magazine in this issue, but check them out. Always a good show. Hey, Ron, what type of hunting do you like to do now? What do you like to pull out of the ground?
Well, I like both the coin shooting and Civil War. Either one of those is my desire.
Yeah, and you're probably like me. What did you get started hunting? When you first started hunting, wasn't it coin shooting? Is what you got started at?
Yes, it was the coins. But at the time, I also lived in the Jonesboro, Georgia area, which was a heavy Civil War. So a lot of action there, and I kind of looked for that at the same time.
Back in the day, especially when I started in 1975, and I didn't know how to research. I didn't know how to find houses that you just look out across the field. I didn't know how you would find if there ever was a house there. And, I found several methods now that will lead me in that direction. It's still hard to find them. But, I was like everybody else. I hunted old standing houses that you could see, and you could go get permission from them. And depending on where you live, if there's a lot of people that are metal detecting, those have probably already been hit. I hit schoolyards, I hit church grounds and stuff like that. But again, those have all been hit. And every now and then you'll get lucky and you'll find a schoolyard or a churchyard that has some really, really old history. I'm not saying that those are not worth hunting. I'm just saying that if you're after the real old stuff, eventually you're going to have to learn to research, aren't you?
I would think so. Research is not my forte. I rely on the other 3 Nox brothers as far as that goes.
Nothing wrong with that.
I try to go back to the little town that I grew up in, which was College Park, Georgia. And I'll go back to the high school and part of the grammar school that is still there. And, I hadn't been there in a while, but places where we lived in College Park, they kind of leveled it out for the Atlanta airport.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's gone. But you mentioned churches and schools. I think all of us like to try to find an old church or an old school or where one was.
Right.
and hope for the best.
Well, you know that those are the places where anywhere that people congregate, somebody loses something. And
Absolutely.
if you can go back to the oldest place where people congregated, you're obviously going to find more there than you are anywhere else. That's the way with Civil War camps, especially if it was a winter camp or something like some of them that we've hunted up in Virginia, up around Culpeper. If you get on those spots, I mean, they were dug in there all winter long, and all they had to do was just sit there and do what they could, and they lost a lot of stuff. And
yeah, right.
Yeah. What would you consider your best find in your whole career of metal detecting?
Oh boy, I've got quite a few Civil War bullets, musket balls, and drop 3-ringers, and I would say I don't have any one particular great find. Just a handful of what I think is good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And matter of fact, there was a friend of mine the other day, and his little boy expressed an interest in finding old stuff, and I dug out a old Civil War bullet and handed it to him, and you would have thought I gave him $100. He was real fickle with that.
I know it.
So,
and I've told people before in my county now, I know that this is probably going to change the way that our culture is going, and I don't agree with it. But in my little county here, still, we have the ability to go to the schools, and they afford me the opportunity every year to go to every school and give a presentation on the Civil War and what was involved at our county. We had a small battle here, and we actually had a Union camp that was here, and John Hunt Morgan came through our county on his, in fact, this was his first battle on his first Kentucky raid. But I'm able to go in and talk to those kids at school about that, and I found out a long time ago, whenever they first started letting me do that, take some bullets. And when you get through with the presentation, line those kids up and let them come down through there and hold one of those bullets and watch their eyes light up when they can hold that history in their hand. And I even today, I was in Walmart and saw this lady there, and she's one of the teachers there, and she said, "My students think that you hung the moon. They can't wait for you to come back and talk to us." And they tell any new students that come in or move in here, he's got Civil War bullets that are over 150-year-old, and you won't never believe how big they are and how heavy that they are. And so, a lot of them watch my YouTube stuff. Some of them even listen to the show from time to time. And it's just rewarding, isn't it, whenever you can when you can do something for these kids to create interest.
Yeah, it is. It sure is.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Before I forget about it,
okay,
I want to wish you and your wife a happy anniversary.
Well, thank you.
You mentioned a while ago.
Yeah.
Next Monday, right?
It is Monday.
Good.
It is February the 10th, and we try to go somewhere, get out of town a little ways, and we got such a big family. We got 3 daughters, and we got 11 grandchildren and 1 great grandchild. So, we have to leave. I'm not going to tell them where we're going. Actually, I don't mind telling you guys we're going to the Smoky Mountains and stay there probably till Wednesday, but we'll leave out Monday morning. But thank you so much. I'll tell her that you sent that along.
Well, good.
Okay. Hey, Scott, we've worked our way all the way back to you. Are you still awake?
Just barely.
How did this whole group, the Nox Brothers, get together?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I had the Nox 600 a couple of years ago. Well, it's about 2 years ago now. And I had gotten rid of it I really wanted to get the 800 for the extra features. I really like that the feature where you can personalize a search mode, that if you're a coin shooter, you want to set up a coin program, you can always just go right back to that and hit one button, and there you are with, creating your settings and such for that. So I eventually bought the 800. Well, then Michael had gotten one, and I said, geez, you know what, we should do a YouTube channel or a Facebook group or something, and we need a catchy name. Let's call ourselves the Nox Brothers.
Yeah.
And then, Ron had jumped in, and I think Bill was probably the last guy in. He got his badge, or he was inaugurated or inducted into the Nox Brothers at last year's Chattanooga show. He bought the machine from Debbie Smikoski, and she took him outside and showed him all the bells and whistles, and he mentioned one of his finds, the stirrup that he found.
Right.
And I got to tell you, on one of our latest permissions that Michael had gotten us all on, Bill dug an incredible coin. And, you know how the Indian head pennies, they come out nice and green, and they're pretty and all when that green color.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, this Indian head penny came out bronze looking. It was the prettiest coin I'd ever seen that's that old.
Yeah.
And you never see them come out shining like that. It's almost like a gold coin or a silver coin. They come out with their natural patina that they've always had.
Right.
And this coin, it was like fresh off the mint.
Oh, man.
It was crazy.
Oh, man.
So,
and I still love finding Indian head pennies, and Barb does too. I mean, she that is her quest in life. Anybody that knows Barb, and she's on a running contest. They're going to have to stop that contest so those guys can start finding some Indians, because as long as they're battling each other, I don't think that they're going to. So everybody in the group then has a Minelab Equinox then, right?
Yeah, we all do. I think Bill and I both have 800s, and I think Michael and Ron, they each have the 600.
Well, I've got the 600, and I don't need all the bells and whistles for the 800. I wouldn't mind having it, but the 600 does fine with me. Have you guys, well, first of all, how do you like the machine as compared to other machines that you've used?
I mean, I like it, the different tones that you can hear, and you get into something where you have your setting set at 50 tones, and you can set a different tone for, different kind of items. I really like the ability to do that versus, like, I use an AT Pro as my backup machine, and it'll get a certain hit on whatever, if it's a quarter, it usually comes up, I think, about an 86, and that tone is always going to be the same for that. It's only got its own scale. You can fluctuate with the Equinox and raise and lower the pitch, and it has so many different features. And, it's a great machine, I think, for someone, if someone has hearing issues. You can really tune those frequencies. Like, I know my dad had issues with, low tones versus high tones.
Yeah.
He might be able to hear one range of a tone better than the other. And with the Equinox, you can tune those pitches where it's comfortable for you to be able to hear.
Well, you can on the 800. Now, you can't change the pitch on the 600, but you could do that with a CTX. And Vic Tucker, a good friend of mine up in Virginia, me and him had CTX 3030s at the same time. And he took his nickel range and ran it to a high tone where he would run that 14, 13, 12, 13, 14, 15 up where it was high, And
sure,
he was just coin shooting was all he was doing, but he said, I want to find those nickels as well. Hey, guys, I'm going to open up the phone lines. I'm sure that there's some of you guys out there that want to talk to at least one of these guys with the Nox Brothers. It is 270-495-0315. Phone lines are open, and we can add people. We can add as many people as want to call up to, I think, 100. I hope we don't have to deal with 100 tonight, but we'll try it if you want to call in. 270-495-0315. And this is a question kind of to the whole group. Is any of you guys, are any of you running the 6-inch coil on the Equinox?
I don't have anything but the standard coil right now. I've got the small coil on the AT Pro, and I also have the Nell big coil for the AT Pro, but for the Equinox right now, all I have is the standard coil that comes with the machine.
And Ron, Bill, Michael, any of you guys have the 6-inch coil?
Yep. No, sir. Got the standard.
Do what?
This is Ron. I got the standard.
You got the standard. You don't have the 6-inch then. Okay.
No, sir.
What about you, Bill? Have you got the 6-inch?
No, sir. I've got the standard coil also.
Okay.
I bought it up there when I met you for the first time.
Right.
Scott and I drove us up for the Relic show. I met Emily there, a few other people, and wound up coming home with the Equinox 800.
There at Chattanooga then, yeah. And we've got a call.
Sir.
We've got a call coming in right now. Greg Pickens, Finding America. What's going on tonight, Greg?
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Loy.
Hey.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
I wanted to
Greg.
call in and I'm not used to having 5 people on the line. That's weird. I just wanted to say hello to everyone. These guys are great, and I always enjoy conversing with them on Facebook and YouTube and everything. So we got a bunch of great guys on tonight.
I think so too. Have you hunted with any of them?
Greg. Back at you.
Have you hunted with any of these guys, Greg?
No, you know me. I can barely get 100 miles away from home before I got to head back to feed the dogs. But now I'm open to hunt with them. I'm open to be down at their Digging Georgia Live event later in the fall. I'm looking forward to trying to get down there.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't get a chance to go this last year, but I haven't. And one reason why is because we normally go to Digging in Virginia, and none of the guys here wanted to go this year, and I just didn't want to go by myself. And, American Digger Magazine has a number of shows that we've been involved in and everything. But I'm going to try to make that Digging in Georgia Live this year. And would love to dig with all you guys.
That'd be a blast.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Nox Brothers and Finding America got to get together and do some detecting.
Yeah,
amen to that, brother.
Y'all need a collaboration
Yes,
there.
sir.
Our Digging with 7 in Finding America. I need some help now.
Well, I don't think your wife would appreciate it if we went detecting on your anniversary. You're coming out in my neck of the woods out here right now, so.
No, but I tell you what, I can turn around and come back someday. Anytime that you want to arrange something other together, I'll run over that way and let her bring one of the girls or something other, and they can just stay. They love to shop in that region, around the Great Smoky Mountains. So we make it work for all of us. I don't mind them shopping if they let me detect.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Scott, I haven't heard a dragon update. So.
Well,
have you learned anything?
You're in the same boat I'm in right now. I'd like to learn about that dragon too. It's by far the most unique find that I've ever dug. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the pictures on the internet. I'm planning on bringing that with me actually down to Florida Hunt 6 this weekend. So if anybody's going to be there and you want to take a look at it, I've got it in a small Riker case I've been told to keep it out of the hands. So I mean, it's going to have to be viewed through the glass, but at least until we know exactly what it is. But I have an archaeologist I'm working with. He's part of the Digging Georgia Live group. He reached out to me when I had mentioned that the University of Georgia had kind of dropped the ball because they don't specialize in this kind of stuff. But I mean, I've been on different Facebook sites, suggestions of Mayan, the Adena culture, which are the mound builders, which there is evidence of that here in Georgia. Viking, origins. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of leaning right now is the Viking, because one person had said to look at, I forget what they called them, but in layman's terms, it would be a fire striker or a flint striker. And when you look at this item, on the one end, it looks like you could hold onto the coil of whatever this dragon is having coming out of his mouth or going in his mouth. You know, the story is going to tell itself, you know, when we find out what it is, but the person could hold onto that coil and strike that flint and get the spark. And there's some YouTube videos out on how the Vikings actually, you know, made their fire, and it's real interesting that they used to take mushrooms and they would soak the mushroom material in urine, believe it or not, and then they would dry this out and pound it into almost like a paper. And with the content and everything there, when they sparked this with the flint, it would smolder, and they would drop that into, you know, a pile of dry grass or whatever, and just kind of, you know, blow on it a little bit, and in seconds it would smoke enough and you'd get fired. So it's a really cool and interesting thing. So I'm almost leaning that way right now. But all I can say is it's really, really old. The archaeologist that spoke to me through the internet, and all he's seen is the pictures. He says that he estimates at 1000 AD.
Wow, that's nice.
And
the truth will all come out when we find out, but who knows? It could be, you know, it could be from 1965.
Hey, I don't know, but it's one crazy hobby that we're in, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
And
you know,
you guys can go and see that relic. You've got that posted on the Relics Radio Facebook group page, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's on there. It's on a few. It's on there. It's Digging Georgia Live. I've got it on a ton of different group pages. So
yeah, just go.
I put it out there because the more people that can see it, maybe somebody knows something that we don't.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott Mine Lab actually shared it, I think, today or yesterday.
I know. That's cool because I had submitted it to them for their find of the month, so maybe I won. I don't know.
Really? That's awesome.
Maybe you got a pinpointer coming.
Maybe.
Now, give us the backstory on that. Were you guys hunting together as a group when you found this, or were you with any of these guys, or were you by yourself? What's the story?
Yeah. Story goes, Michael had gotten this permission. Actually, I got a permission that's in town here. It's about 7 acres. Michael and I were out there one day, and the clouds couldn't decide what they wanted to do, whether they wanted to rain on us or sunshine on us. But we were hunting the 7 acres that I had, and he says, you know what, I know the guy who owns the house next door, and he's got this big backyard. And he said, let me call him and see if we can't get on there. Well, obviously he didn't get in contact with him that day, but I think maybe the next day or two afterwards he did hear back from him. And we got on this property, and I tell you, I mean, this is like virgin ground. It's on an old 1800s home, and there's about, I'm guessing, maybe a couple acres in the backyard. And that day it was just Michael and myself, and he got there, and I dug this item, and I walked over to him, and I showed it to him, and he's got it on one of his videos. And then the following week we went back. The 4 of us got together the following week and went back there, and that's when Bill found a V-nickel. He found a really nice Indian head penny. I found a 3-ring bullet there. It was a drop 3-ring bullet, and literally it was about 10 feet away from where the dragon item came out. And there's been a ton of relics that have come out of that ground, and we've given a good portion of them to the landowner.
Huh. Hey, Michael, what led you to that permission there, that spot?
Well, being that where we live is so developed, it's really hard kind of getting on, you know, something that's still fresh. Well, the guy is actually my eye doctor. So I just messaged him and talked to him, and he has a huge backyard. And when I did the parcel records at the house, it said it was like 1920. So I was like, maybe we'll pull some silver out with it. He came out and talked to us. He said, no, this house is 1865. He's like, the parcel's not right. So I was like, okay, so he let us hunt back there, and it was great. I mean, I know Scott, there's a railroad nearby. It's on the town square, and I cannot believe that someone hasn't hunted this place before, but it was absolutely loaded. I pulled, the same day I pulled I think it was a 1907 Barber quarter with the O-mint mark, and then 10 feet away I pulled a 1876 Carson City seated dime, just 10 feet away from it. And I think I got 3 Indian head pennies that day, too.
You guys walked into a jackpot then, didn't you?
Yeah.
Now, what? Yeah, they're getting all the coins.
Yeah.
They're getting all the coins, and I dig something out, and it looks like a coin, and I'm saying, hey, Michael, come over here and film this, and I think I got a coin here, and it ends up being a flat button, but I'll take the flat buttons, too.
Yeah, I will, too. Michael, what's your impression of this piece? You've held it in your hand and got to see it up close. What's your impression of it?
I'm not sure. There's so many suggestions. One thing we were kind of leaning towards, and I mean, we're not sure, completely sure, but I was thinking Asian. I mean, I hunted, I got permission at another spot, probably a block away. Actually probably one street over, and on the square, that's not very far. And on that permission, I was pulling out I pulled out a Chinese coin from the 1700s. I pulled out an old Asian button over there, and several old things that were, kind of screaming railroad Chinese camp. And there's a creek right there. There's the railroad right there. They could have been camping out in that area, but who knows? I mean, it could be some other culture. I mean, I don't really know. It was awesome though, and I have a video of when Scott, the moment that he found it, I walked up and was filming it. So it was really neat.
Now, what's the name of that video so that everybody can go and watch it?
Oh, I would have to look that up. I think it's three or four videos ago. I think it's actually the third video back.
Okay.
And my channel is Beat Seeker as well. Just like Beat Seeker.
Yeah.
So
okay.
If anybody wants to check that out, it's on there. But I think I actually have 2 videos just on the property where he found the dragon piece. One just me and Scott, and the other with all 4 of us.
And Greg, you're kind of like me, Greg.
Go ahead,
you've done a lot of research on a lot of different things. What are your impressions on that piece?
When he said Mayan, it just kind of clicked for me. The thing is the dragging, consuming itself is in a few different cultures. So when they first said Viking, I was like, yeah, that could be. And then when they said Mayan, though, it just sort of clicked for me. How it got there, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
But
that's kind of.
I'd love to hold it in my hand, but it's a heck of a cool piece. I really like it. So it's right up my alley. It's weird and unusual.
Yeah, it is. And whenever they mention mine, to me, that if you've seen those pyramids and if you've seen any of the carvings in the rock structures and things, it really does resemble Mayan type stuff. And the more that we're learning about that culture, the more north that culture seems to have migrated up this way. And I actually asked Scott the other day whenever he and I were talking, I didn't know how close, or if they live close to the Mississippi River or not, but theoretically you could see them being along the Mississippi, but he's talking about the mound builders. Well, they're kind of relatives of the Mayans as well. So I don't think it's out of the question that it could be a Mayan relic, Scott.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping for something that's really cool like that. And, it's a baffling story, that's for sure. And the main reason why we were actually even in this area hunting was to look for Civil War relics, because we had been told by a real close friend of ours who's recently passed away, Mark Pollard. Butch Holcomb knows Mark real well. That the entire, I believe the story was the entire 15th and 17th Army Corps for the Union camped in this town for a couple days. And so if you can imagine that many soldiers in a small area around the square camping, they're going to be in everybody's backyard. Mm-hmm. And the dropped Civil War three-ringer that I found just a few steps away from where I found the dragon item was the very first, proof item that they were actually there.
Yeah.
Other than what we had been told, and that's like icing on the cake for me. I was tickled pink to find that, and it was, that's the first dropped bullet I've ever found. I found tons of them that are, been smashed up and fired and everything, but that's the first dropped one I found, and it's to me it's a treasure in itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is, no doubt. Well, we're all on pins and needles wanting to know what that item is and what culture that item is. I can only imagine how much research and everything would already have been done had that been dug up at Oak Island or somewhere. I mean, they'd have had those authorities telling us, within 2 or 3 years, the exact date of even the material that it was made of, or make us think that.
Yeah. They tell us exactly where the ore was mined and and everything.
yeah.
Well,
What you need? Go ahead, Greg.
I'm saying, they got those deep pockets; they can afford those tests,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Let me get back to Bill here for just a minute. Bill, you've seen that.
Yes, sir.
What did you think when you first saw it?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I've only seen the pictures.
Oh, really? Well, then you're in no better shape than I am.
Yeah.
What?
No. All I've seen is the pictures.
What impressions do you get just looking at the pictures, though? Like me, you don't know.
I'm going with the Mayan.
Yeah, just because of the way that it curls around, it's spiral, and it seems
the
like
way to talk. And I helped. Yeah, I went online and looked at it too. The dragon biting the tail. It's a lot of Asian stuff up there. Sometimes they call it was a serpent. I've looked up on also, which looks, but it looks like a very cool piece.
Oh yeah.
The term where you see the dragon or snake, serpent, however you want to use the term, when they consume themselves by their tail, the term of Ouroboros is the term that they use for that. And when I look at the item, I'm questioning whether this thing is eating itself by its tail. I think it's actually something's either going in head first or coming out. Now, one person told me they think it looks like fire coming out. And if you look at it really close, I don't know how I want to say this. The tooling that was done on this, you can tell it's not a forged item. It's not poured in a mold or anything like that. It's hand done, and the pattern on it and the engravings on it. In fact, last night I was looking at this and I'm saying, I wonder if this is almost some sort of ancient language that's even put in here, like Ruin, or something like that, because the engravings on it are such that it to me it's really, really a baffling story to me, and I can hardly wait for it to come to a head.
Yeah, to pan out and understand. Yeah, I tell you what I would suggest that you four guys do. I would drive a pin right there where I found that thing. I would get every permission that I could around that area, and just keep circling out because that really is the best way to eliminate, as to, is this an item that is just there by chance, or was there a culture there around somewhere? And you'd have to find some other relics that would date or, be in that same culture to be able to determine that. But I'd drive
right, because I think it could be, definitely like a one-off type item. It's you look on the internet to try and find something similar to it, and you can't find it.
Hey guys, I'll tell you this. I did some research a while back. This is before I met you, Scott, a long time ago.
Okay.
I went to the library in Griffin, which is not far away from. I mean, it's probably like the next town over from where we're at. And anyways, when I was reading through the library is a great place. I guess you guys know that, but they'll have these old reference books that you can't check out. And I was reading through some of the old journals and stuff and the old history books about the city and stuff, and there were ancient cultures in the area before the Native Americans, because I know there were mound builders for sure, because in Griffin, one county over, it said that when the county was started, the original settlers had came in, and the Native Americans and stuff were there as well, but this other culture was there before them because they were mound builders, the people that were there before them. And there's no evidence now of the mound builders other than the stories that you read about when the people came in, the settlers, they destroyed the mounds. So there's written record of them, but you can't really go see any of it now because the settlers did kind of destroy the area. So it's a neat story.
Yeah, if you get down as far as Macon, there's a state park down there that has some of the Mayan, or not the Mayan, but the mound builders area and you can actually go through there, and they've got a huge museum as well down there. I'd love to go down there and take a look at that.
Right. Even Mark Collard, he talked about, did he tell this story to you as well about the bowl builders that were maybe a county or two up, and how when DeSoto came up and he was traveling with the Indians, there's this area like one or two counties up above us where he was traveling with the tribes up that way, and they came across this strange pieces of bowls and whole bowls that were laying around, and how the only area in the country where you can find this rock substance, I work at Atlanta Zoo Atlanta, and like right down the road is where this is, but it's the only place in the world you can find this substance. And the ancient culture that was there were using this substance to build these bowls, and they were, I think one bowl would be like 300 pounds from what he told me, and he actually got one of these bowls working with an archaeologist. And so there were some really ancient cultures, because when DeSoto asked the Native Americans where this came from, they told him they had no clue because it was before their time.
Well, let me give you my theory on that. If you look in the Giza Plateau in Egypt, you see the Great Pyramid and those pyramids, and then if you go into Mexico and South America, you see during that same period pyramid building people there as well. We have a lot of mounds up along east of the Mississippi here, and I think it's because that you didn't have the rock to mine or to quarry like they had over there, possibly. And they may have done a lot of that just by dirt, or there may be some of those rock type pyramids things that are covered up with dirt. I know in my county here and down by Tennessee, Jeff, there's just a huge mound, and we know that was Native Americans. So they got that idea somewhere. And that idea, sure, you're finding it in different parts of the world. And I can't explain other than there had to be some communication between Egypt and South America and the southeastern part of the United States. There had to be, didn't there?
Yep, there absolutely has to be.
I was going to say something, too. There's one other possibility that the piece was lost by a collector. And I've seen that happen before. Like, I remember watching a video. Guy said it was the oldest coin ever found in the United States, and it was an ancient Greek coin. But everyone's like, well, how did the Grease get over here? But it turned out that there was a collector nearby that had lost that coin. So,
you're
I kind of, so, I was thinking, I live up on top of a mountain in Tennessee, and if I lost a few pieces of my collection, a Roman coin, maybe a hammered coin, and then someone found them 100 years from now, they'd be trying to figure out how the heck did the Romans get over here to Smoky Mountains.
So what he's
true.
What he's saying, Scott, is that there's some wife that said he has went out and spent a fortune on another dadgum piece and just took it and slung it out the back door, and you just happened to find it.
Well, I do have to say this though. When we first started the Nox Brothers, we kind of got together and said, hey, we've got to come up for a nickname for each one of us. And Michael kind of had dubbed me the gold miner because I had dug this awesome gold and diamond ring. Well, I think I want to change my name now to the Dragon Slayer.
Oh, there you go. Hey, Michael, what's your nickname then?
My YouTube channel, it's Beep Seeker. I think I came up with mine first. We were like on the phone kind of joking around about our nicknames because like Nugget Noggin and Aquachigger and all these people were like, we got to have nicknames. So
right.
I just kind of threw something goofy out and it stuck. And then, Scott found the gold ring. I was like, actually, Scott, I think you came up with that and I agreed with it. But
yeah,
we got to get Bill and Ron some nicknames.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to ask them if they had a nickname. What do you want to be called, Ron?
Yeah, I go by Bill.
Just Bill.
I go by Bill.
What about you, Ron? What do you want to be? What do you want to go by?
Oh, I don't care. I have been called a lot of things, but some of them I don't want to be called.
Oh, mate.
I think since Ron is the oldest guy in the group, I think we should name him Relic Ron.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
There you go.
I think that's what you said before. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not only chasing relics, he is a relic himself, like myself. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Hey, you guys have been great, but before you get off here tonight, talk about Digging Georgia Live this year. What can we expect? Give us some dates and location or anything, Scott, that you can.
Well, yeah, Digging Georgia Live 2020 is in the works right now. Right now we're trying to secure a land permission. Michael and I are working on that. Once we get that, we can, square away a date. And, of course, I'll be, posting that information out there. But we are teamed up with a great charitable organization. It's called Healing for Heroes. And what they do is they go out and they adopt these dogs from shelters, and they train them for service animals for veterans that suffer from PTSD and other issues. And the cost that's involved in training these dogs over a period of months is, I think that I read on their website, it's right around $6,000 to train a dog so that they can do what this individual person needs them to do for them. So our hope is to get enough people out there where we can support at least one, maybe two service animals for this cause. So
very cool.
Yes, it is.
Great cause. Cause.
Yeah. And of course, you'll be putting stuff on the Relics Radio Facebook group page as well whenever you get closer to that. And we'll have you on again prior to that whenever you get everything in the works, and or if you find out what the dragon piece is, that's got me really interested, and find out more about it as well. But you guys have been great tonight. I think that we managed to have the four guests, and everybody got some time, and we did the best that we could with it. But so glad that every one of you could join the show here tonight.
Well, thank you so much
for having us.
Yeah, and you guys hang on the line, and thanks for the call too, Greg. But you guys hang on the line, and let me close the show out, and we'll say our goodbyes off the air. And I don't want to fail to mention one other hunt that is coming up May the 9th. That's on a Saturday. It is the first annual Middle Tennessee Dig and Bash. That will be in Shelbyville, Tennessee. And if you're interested in that, go to the Relics Radio Facebook group page. And by the way, guys, if you're not a member of that page, you need to be a member, because we're putting pictures of this dragon piece, the relic that we're trying to identify. We're putting all these hunts and everything. I mean, you're going to be informed if you go there. But if you go to the Relics Radio Facebook group page, you will see an ad for the first annual Middle Tennessee Dig and Bash. And Tim Henderson has put a PDF link in the comments on that, which will print you out an entry form there, and you can fill that out, or you can call Paul Klippa at 931-691-7598 and get all the information that you need on that right there. Appreciate everybody being here. Come back next Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. See you then. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live every Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker, or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and many other podcast outlets. Relics Radio is also syndicated on the Cutting Edge Radio Network and is broadcast around the world. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure and follow us so you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Diggin' with 7 or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook group page or Adventures in History on Facebook. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to relicsradio@outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope that you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.